Good afternoon, everybody. My name is AJ Ansari. I'm the Microsoft Dynamics NAV product manager at Interdyne BMI, and thank you for joining our webinar today on the Let's Talk NAV educational series. And the title of today's session is What's New in Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2015. If you've attended some of our earlier sessions this year, you will have probably heard from myself or my teammates, and in some cases from add-on providers. Our special guest today is Tom Taylor from Microsoft. Tom is the Partner Technology Strategist for small and medium businesses, and specifically for Microsoft Dynamics NAV at Microsoft. He has been providing readiness support to Microsoft partners selling NAV since 2007 and has been working with NAV for about 10 years now. He's got a broad knowledge of application functionality within the product and upcoming technology in newer versions. He's been helping sell and demo ERP solutions to the small and medium business market for 20 years and has served as a corporate IT professional for the last 16 years, providing business insight tools for management teams across global organizations. So we're really honored to have Tom make some time for us and for you, our clients today, and we're real excited about the presentation that he's going to present. Before we get started, I'd like to just maybe take 2 minutes and do a little bit of housekeeping. If you have not attended one of our webinars before, a little bit of background about the Let's Talk NAV educational series. This is a complement to our letstalknav.com blog. Here on the blog, we put up tips, tricks, and useful information about Microsoft Dynamics NAV. We've got different sections about the versions of NAV. We've got a tips and tricks section. We've got a did you know section, etc. And we've also got some videos that we'll post here from time to time. So alongside the blog that we've been doing for the last few years, we've started to do a series of webinars. These are monthly events, and in some cases we've had 2 events in a month, such as this current month. The following months we'll see events on cash flow management in Dynamics NAV. We'll do a session on managing licenses within Dynamics NAV using an add-on product called Expandit. They have a great solution called the Expandit Client Manager. And we'll also be doing a session on fixed assets. If you're looking for additional information, one-on-one training, or if you are looking for some classroom training, please feel free to reach out to us and we'll help you arrange and make that happen, either for your own employees or in combination with other NAV users like yourselves. With that, I am going to turn this over to Tom Taylor. Tom, I'm going to unmute you now, so please let me know if you are having any trouble hearing us or if you are ready to present.
All right, thank you, AJ. And let's see here. To present, can you make me presenter?
I have just done that, so that should be coming up.
There we go.
And Tom, before you present, I'd like to do 2 polls.
Okay.
So do them in quick succession. And the first one should be showing up at everybody's screen right now. We'd just like to get a sense for what version of Microsoft Dynamics NAV you're currently using. So we'll leave this up for about 30 seconds. If you could please take a second to vote. Ten more seconds. All right, the poll is closed. So about 80% voted. I think a few folks may not have had a chance to do that, but most of the folks attending today, Tom, are on NAV 2009. Okay. We've got a small complement of folks who are on NAV 2013 R2 and about 25% who are also on NAV 2015. And then a follow-up to that poll is what will be coming up on your screens right now. Are you considering an upgrade in the next 6 months or perhaps even in the next year? So if you could take a second to answer that, please. Okay, 10 more seconds. All right, we've closed the poll. So, Tom, about 50% of the people attending today's session are considering an upgrade in the next 6 months, and about 25% are not sure at this time. So, I think this is going to be a pretty receptive audience. I'm sure they're really excited to see the new features that you have to show. And with that, Tom, the floor is yours. Thank you again for doing the presentation today for us.
AJ, you're more than welcome, and welcome Interdyne BMI customers to what's new in Microsoft Dynamics NAV 2015. Let's jump right into the presentation today and talk about, Microsoft Dynamics is quick to implement, easy to use, and power to support your small, mid-sized business ambitions. And as part of NAV 2015, we've introduced under quick to implement 3 areas around the rapid start I want to talk about. And we'll dive into those in just a moment, and we'll talk about how we've extended Rapid Start, which was a replacement for data migration, which was back in NAV 2009. So for customers who are on that version, when we went to NAV 2013, we introduced the Rapid Start. And it's actually a role center that allows you, Rapid Start, to bring up a role center of all the tables that would be in a new company, and to basically configure a company from a preset defined group of tables, all the master data, things like chart of accounts, posting groups, all the type of data that you need to run a company is basically in this Rapid Start configuration implementation. And you can very quickly then spin up a company. Then you can bring in your own master records, such as your customers, your vendors, your items, that kind of information you can bring in through Excel, and it validates information, and then once it passes the validation, you can then implement those records into your NAV implementation. So we'll talk about that under quick to implement. Easy to use, you can see there's 5 different things we'll cover. Our new tablet application, some new user experience enhancements in our role centers, what we call mini forms in Dynamics NAV, which is a simplicity user experience. We've done more around Office 365 integration and document reporting. We'll cover each of those topics. And last, we want to talk about cash management, which cash management has been a focus. I mean, cash is king in your businesses, and it's been a focus both in NAV 2013 R2 and NAV 2015. And then also Microsoft Social Listening. So with that, let's go ahead and jump into the about quick to implement. And just as note, we're 9 months into the release of NAV 2015. It was released on October the 1st of 2014. To date, currently, NAV 2015 is on Cumulative Update number 8. Those of you that aren't familiar with Cumulative Updates, we implemented those back in 2013. So each month we come out with hot fixes and additional functionality sometimes in these Cumulative Updates. And so if you went out to Customer Source today and look for NAV 2015, you would see that CU8 is the latest one, which was just released this month in June of 2015. So as we move on and we look about quick to implement in the Rapid Start, we have really 3 components. We have enhancements to the actual Rapid Start tool. We have ways that you now to help with upgrading, to be able to upgrade your code, as well as upgrade your data from previous versions, and I'll talk a little more about that. So as far as the Rapid Start implementation, again, this is used by partners and for you as customers in creating and setting up and initializing a new installation. Rapid Start can also be used to add additional modules into your implementation. For example, maybe you are running, distribution today, finances and distribution in the application and inventory, and you want to maybe extend into the service module. So you could use the Rapid Start implementation to just implement those components of service and bringing in the master data, as well as also specific customer data to support that. What's been enhanced in NAV 2015 around Rapid Start is the ability to map values and automatically put those into tables. So for example, you bring your customers in to Dynamics NAV 2013 R2 and you have a terms code in your customer file. Well, in NAV 2013 R2, if the terms code weren't predefined into the terms table prior to bringing the customers in with those terms codes, they would fail when you imported the customers. What we've enhanced in NAV 2015 is if the terms codes don't exist, we'll go ahead and set them up in the table, just the code without the description, so you actually can go ahead and import those customers and that terms code will be defined. So again, it makes it smoother in your migration of data into Dynamics NAV 2015. We also can easily support conversion of dates and decimal formats for other regional settings in your computer. So in NAV 2015, we've also introduced what we call the Rapid Start Upgrade Code. And the new feature is actually called Application Merge Utility, AMU. And again, specifically designed to help our partners for upgrading your code and metadata from one version to another. So for example, if you're a customer on NAV 2013 or NAV 2009, and on 2009, to use the code upgrade, you have to be running the pages. So if you're a 2009 customer and you're still using the classic client and forms, the code upgrade tool won't do you any good. But if you're using the role centers and you're using the pages, we actually, what the partner will do is export all those pages out of 2009 and be able to get the differences in what IP or code enhancements you've made to those pages, and you basically pull the delta out of the changes that you've made from the base version. So let me give a specific example. You're on NAV 2009, the last version I think was R2, and I've lost track of the versions, and it's been 40 years ago. But so we're on NAV 2009 R2, and we've made code enhancements. We've put ISV products that have done code enhancements to the R2 version. So what you do is you take the base R2 version, you take you export all those objects in that, and then you would take the NAV 2009 R2 version with your IP or your ISV code that's been added to that, and you actually export all of those text code, all that out to a text file, all that code, and then there's a utility that will actually compare the 2009 R2 to 2009 R2 with your enhancements to the application, and that pulls the differences out of that file. Then you can take those differences and apply those to the next version. For example, NAV 2013. So you take the 2013 version that you have, you apply your differences, and then basically compile your programs, and you start your testing at that point. So what you have to keep in mind is there's no dependencies on servers or databases. This is all done in text files. As I mentioned, it's backwards compatible, and it also can be supported with PowerShell commands. And if you're on versions 2009, PowerShell did not exist. And when we actually implemented NAV 2013 R2, we implemented PowerShell, and so you basically can write like batch command scripts, PowerShell scripts, to actually do the merge utilities, and you can run them, and they're very fast and very reliable as far as giving you the delta and applying that to the new version. The next area that you have to consider in an upgrade is not just the code itself, but also your data files. Your data structures have changed from one version to another, and you have to be able to migrate your data from your old structure on the previous version to your new table structures. We've implemented a new code unit in Dynamics NAV that allows you to optimize the performance for developers so they can quickly run the actual data upgrade. So what it does, it reduces the amount of code that has to be written, and it minimizes the number of manual actions that you can actually have to do. So it's less error prone by using this upgrade tool. The feedback from the partners that I have heard across the U.S. has been phenomenal about these rapid start enhancements, especially around the code upgrade and the data upgrade procedures. So the next area I'll focus on is easy to use, and we'll do this in the tablet experience. We'll look at the UI, simplicity, Office integration, and document reporting. So let's move on to the tablet experience. In Dynamics NAV 2015, we introduced another client, and this client will run on a Windows tablet or on an iPad or on an Android. And these devices are basically tablets, not phones. About a 7-inch screen is what we will support. And the tablets are designed to have a fluid interface. So when you think about holding a tablet, which when I demonstrate today, I'm doing it on a laptop, you know, through GoToMeeting, and my laptop's not touch, unfortunately, so I'll have to use the mouse. But the way it's designed is your thumbs, when you're holding a tablet, your thumbs are actually on the left and right-hand sides of the screen. And when I take you to the demonstration, you'll see how easy it is to navigate through the NAV role centers. So you know, you can create role centers just like you do in 2009 or 2013, specifically for the tablet client. The other thing that's important about the tablet client is the exact same development environment, the object designer, that you use to design the role center for Windows, the Windows client, as well as the web client, as well as the actual tablet client. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at this client. Now I'm going to go ahead and go over here, and I'm actually running Windows 10 here. I've been on the beta program for about 6 months, and I'm going to launch here the Dynamics NAV client. Now this is the client I downloaded, the Windows application. I downloaded it from the Windows Store. If you have an iPad, you go to the iTunes Store and search for Microsoft Dynamics NAV and download the app. If you have an Android, you go to the Google Store and you download the Microsoft Dynamics NAV application. Once you download the application, then you actually will then connect to your server. Let's see here. It seems like, let me move this thing out of the way. And so I started the application, and I've already identified which server I'm pointing to, as well as I've also put in the user ID here of Alan S. As my user ID. Now, if I signed out, you would see a screen that would have the URL for my server for NAV and the actual user ID and password. I kind of skipped that step. So this is the tablet app. You'll notice if you think about looking at this, you've got your hands on the left side and right-hand side of the screen. You'll notice that the activities that we have here on the left-hand side, they show up, and these are like the activity queues that we created in NAV 2009, and these are basically filtered buckets. And what we've done is we've added these on the left-hand side, and then on the right-hand side of the screen here is a chart from Dynamics NAV, as well as also a mini trial balance on NAV in this role center. Now, to navigate this, again, using your thumb, if you hit what I call the hamburger, which is the 3 horizontal bars here, this will actually bring up for us the navigation pane that you would see on a role center. This seems to be a little bit slow in response. Interesting. I'm going to close this and launch it one more time. So let's launch the app. And now I'll select with my left thumb the menu. It seems to be a little sluggish here. Oh, there we go. So the 3 dots is the action. So this is like your ribbon that you would have off of your role center. And then if I come back here to the menu, for some reason the menu is not wanting to, it's being very sluggish here. Okay, now we've got a connection. So the three dots here give us our, this would be what would be on our navigation pane in the Role Center. And for example, if I wanted to navigate to customers here, I could select that. And then the area on the right-hand side, which was my Role Center page, that had my charts and my mini trial balance on it, has now been replaced by the customer list in Dynamics NAV. And again, if you think about your thumbs on the left-hand and right-hand side of the application, over here, the three dots, you hit that with your thumb, these are the actions for the customer list page that pop up. Again, a little slow to respond. And on the left-hand side is the backup button where we would go back to our menu. We also can search here. And I'm going to search, for example, V, and hit the search button. And what this search does in the tablet client is it searches not across all fields. So it'll find names and contacts, anything that's showing up in the customer record that has the word V in it, it will show up here in this screen. I must be having some kind of connection problem. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here. It's very, very sluggish. And so I think I'm going to move on. That's a shame that I can't demonstrate this. But as you can see, it is a different layout. All the functionality works. You'll notice I had phone numbers on there. For example, on your tablet, if you had Link, you click on a phone number, that'll launch Link. If you send to Excel, it'll open up Excel on the tablet with the information. So anything you do within that tablet will interact with the other applications in Microsoft Office. So unfortunately, you didn't get a real good chance to see it, to actually navigate it because the response was slow. But you can see it's fairly simple the way it's lined out. You get it on your choice of device, Windows, iOS, or Google. And it's one app, and it has many possibilities of how you can use this application. And again, keep in mind, you can set up additional Role Center profiles and customize those profiles, and then set the user personalization up so when this user logs in, they get that profile on the tablet. Now, the next area I want to talk about is, and you saw a little bit of this on the tablet, you'll notice that the activity queues had color-coded boxes. We call those enhanced queues. And what you can do is you can set thresholds on various values to color code the activity queues. And you'll also notice here that the activity queues are not only like open invoices and open purchase invoices, but they're also, for example, like overdue sales invoices or sales this month. So activity queues can now be created to show dollar amounts or like the top 10 customer sales, margin. You can do calculations and present those in the actual in the Role Center with the enhanced queues. So let's jump over here and let's launch the Windows client. Now, I'm connected to the Windows client here. I'm using the login and Office 365 login. You have many different credentials in NAV that you can log in with. You can use Windows Authentication. You can use username and password. And here I'm using the Office 365 integration. So I'm going to log in here as my Office 365 user, and it's going to launch my Windows client that you're very familiar with if you're on NAV 2009 and above. It's the Role Center client. And once this appears, then you'll see that this Role Center has been set up with activity queues as shown in the PowerPoint, as well as also you can actually set up additional queues on additional Role Centers. There's a new session that's been added in 2015 called Queue, C-U-E, Setup, that allows you to define these key performance, these color-coded bars above all the different profiles on the Role Centers. So here on the Small Business Role Center, this is actually a new role center that was introduced in NAV 2015 to support our next topic called Simplified UX. And you'll notice here that I've got setup queues. And what I can do when I select the setup queues, you'll notice these are the various queues I've set up, ongoing sales invoices, and then I've set low ranges and high ranges. And I can set those as the none, which means there's no bar above the actual box, or I can set them as favorable, unfavorable, or subordinate. And then I can set thresholds based upon that to actually adjust these specific numbers. So if I look, for example, here, top 10 customer sales year to date is 99.5%. If I wanted to change that up and make that favorable, I would be able to simply switch these around, so I could make this one unfavorable and make this one favorable, and then say OK. And when I release that, you can see it changed. I changed the thresholds on that specific enhanced queue. And again, the purpose here is to give you a visual indication of something that's below a threshold that you want to pay attention to. Now, I also mentioned there's queue setup. So this is a new session. And the queue setup allows you to go in for all of your various, actually you do it by table name, because we actually have tables of those queues that are calculations. So if we set up a new one here, you can come out, and if you just do a drill down, you can see all the different table IDs that we have queues set up for. And you then can create additional enhanced queues on other role centers. So a really quick and easy way to bring things to your attention to help you focus on operational BI dashboards. And highly visible, and also supported in the mobile experience, as you can see with the tablet client earlier, as well as it also would show up on the web client. Now, the next area in easy to use is around simplification. And as I mentioned, in NAV 2015, we introduced a new set of pages called mini pages. And what mini pages are is the simplified UX. It's a simplified way in Dynamics NAV to be able to do sales quotes, do sales invoices, and do purchase invoices. We've simplified the data entry. We've made mandatory fields. We've put totals on documents. We allow, based upon your user permissions, if you don't have user permissions for certain functionality on the role center, it will automatically be removed as part of the user simplification. So let's take a look at what I mean about this process. Now, keep in mind, this is a new role center. So when you go to Profile, you see Small Business. And the Small Business is the simplified UX in those profiles. So let's jump back here to the Windows client. And I'll just go back to the home page. And as I mentioned, in this simplified UX for small business, you'll notice you don't have sales orders. You don't have purchase orders. They simplified it really for small businesses. Now, all of the functionality of NAV that is included in the perpetual license is all still there in the background. It's just this is a simplified way to use the UX. So, for example, let's take a look at the customer card, for example, and how we've redesigned that for simplification. Let's open up the Canon Group. So we'll double-click here. Open up the Canon Group record. I must be having some network issues or something. This thing normally flies. Okay, here we go. So what you'll see is a total redesign of the actual customer card in this simplistic UI in the Small Business Center. You'll notice that we've put customer information, address information, invoice information, We've done payment information and even statistics here and redesigned the fast tabs to show additional information about the customers. If I even scroll down, you can see, we don't have a separate screen, for example, for customer sales prices and sales line discounts. They're all part here of the simplified customer card. Now, as I mentioned, it's also simplified when we actually get into the order processing. So I'm going to close the customer here, and let's go over and do a new sales order. Actually, I'm going to try this. First is I'm going to jump over. I'm running this demonstration today off of an Azure data center in Chicago, and I just jumped. I was demonstrating that from my laptop and logging in from Windows client on my laptop to that. Now I've RDP'd into it, so maybe that'll be a little bit faster. Keep our fingers crossed. So what I want to do here is actually want to do a new sales invoice. So I want to click on New here, and I want to set up a new customer. So we'll call this Interdyne BMI as our customer. And I hit Enter. It doesn't recognize I have an Interdyne BMI customer in the application, so I'm going to say yes. Then it asks me what template I want to use to actually build this customer. I'm going to select Domestic. And then it'll actually open up the customer card for me to complete the rest of the detailed information about the customer. For right now, I'm just going to skip that, but I just want to show you, the process of how it's different from the normal NAV when you would do a sales invoice. I'm going to go ahead and say OK, and select the Interdyne customer. Now, notice here that my first field on the screen was not the order number. The order number was automatically assigned. So it's sales invoice here. I say order, it's invoice. Sales invoice number 1008 was assigned to Interdyne BMI. And I also have asterisks on fields that I require that you put in. Also notice in this simplified UX, I don't have selecting of items, general ledger numbers, resources. All I can basically do is input an inventory item. So I'll put in 70,000 here as my side panel, and I'll order 10 of those. And as I'm putting in my part numbers, and actually under the item file, in the simplified small business area, you can set up items as a service item. And so you could do a service item as well as an inventory item in an invoice. In the case here, I'm actually doing inventory items, but you have the option of service, and I'll order, let's say 40 of these bases. Now, also note that as I'm putting this in, I get totals at the bottom of the invoice here that gives me my total amount, and then taxes if they apply. In this case, they don't. So I can exactly see where I stand with a specific customer. So this gives you a little insight of actually, what the small business center actually provides in Dynamics NAV 2015. Actually, I think that worked better going to the room on a desktop too. So just a little benefits on this. Again, we're providing mandatory fields. Those actually can be set as your partner. And a note about the mandatory fields, they're not required that you put them in, but obviously, if you designate mandatory, it may stop the invoice in this case from going further down the process if the mandatory fields such as quantity or item number were not put in. We also have an easy review of our documents with the document totals at the bottom. And the simplified the UI removal of the elements, I'm not going to demonstrate that, but it's a very nice feature. And that actually can not only be used in the simplified UX, that also can be used with all your role centers that you have in Dynamics NAV. So the next area I want to talk about is more integration with Office 365. And for those of you that are on NAV 2013 R2, that's when we actually begin to support NAV in the cloud on Microsoft Azure. As part of that, we created the ability to have PowerShell scripts to be able to automate the processes of creating the NAV images on Azure, as well as also creating the integration between Dynamics NAV and Office 365. And another thing about Office 365 that is extremely important is that Office 365 also has something called Power BI. Now, when it originally came out, Power BI, it was part of Office 365. Now it's an application all on its own. And I'll demonstrate a little bit about this. I'm actually going to do a session, I think, next month or something about Power BI. So stay tuned for that. But what it allows you to do is to give high visualizations of your data in Dynamics NAV in graphs and charts. And these graphs and charts can be interlinked together, so when you click on one portion of the screen, it affects the other charts in the application. We also, with Office 365, we can now show Dynamics NAV content in Office 365 SharePoint, as well as we can easily go from Office 365 with single sign-on right over to Dynamics NAV 2015, and then very easily come back the same way. And this also is supported, the single sign-on integration is supported in NAV 2013 R2, but what's different in the 2015 is the introduction of the OAuth, the Open Standard to Authorization support, what makes it very easy to set up this integration. So with that, let's jump back over to my actual VM here. And I'm going to go to my team site. So here I've logged in. I want to dismiss my notifications. I've logged in to Office 365 here as Dan Jump, who is the accounting manager in my demonstration system here. And as you can see, when Dan logs in, he goes to his team site, which has financial performance. So these are graphs and list pages and a trial balance that are NAV parts that we expose into SharePoint. And these are interactive. So for example, in this financial performance here, if I'm only interested in days of sales outstanding, what I can simply do here is click on these other bars and deselect, and now I can see my days of sales outstanding is getting lower. Or if I wanted to say a payments outstanding, it's kind of flat. So I have, instantaneously access from my SharePoint site, which again, keep in mind, SharePoint can mix all kinds of unstructured data with the structured data that NAV provides. As well as I can come over here in my trial balance, and if I'm interested in, for example, my operating expenses, I can drill down here, and this will actually open up. Oh, I have to refresh this because I'm not, let me refresh the page. The page has been sitting there open for a minute. As I refresh the page, then I can actually select here, for example, my operating expenses, and that'll drill me into the web client off the SharePoint site to show me off of this specific chart the accounts that make that up. And then again, if I wanted to see total personal expenses, I'd have the ability here to drill in. And notice again, I went right from the SharePoint right into the web client, and now I'm drilling into the details that make up that balance. And things we can do here now is we can sort by columns, we can filter by columns, ascending, descending filters, all this could be done within the web client, from Office 365. And then if I simply want to return back to the SharePoint client, I can simply click the back button and it returns me back to SharePoint. Now, the other thing I can do is I also can go into my NAV client. So right from here, and let me just show you in Office 365, we'll go up here to the tic-tac-toe board. I mean, these are all the applications I have access to in this demo environment. I've got mail, I've got calendar, I've got my contacts, my OneDrive, my sites is the SharePoint site I'm showing you. I have CRM, I can create an integration to CRM. So as well as doing single sign-on between NAV and Office 365, I can also single sign-in right into CRM. I can have my task, and I'll talk more about Power BI. So it gives you an idea of all the capabilities that you have from O365. A simple click here jumps us into Dan Jump's role center, which he's the accounting manager. and then it provides him, and he has in his web client from his role center. To return back to Office 365, we have an icon up on the ribbon here next to our navigation area. These are the different groups, and I can simply return back over to Office 365. Now, I want to show one other thing here in Office 365, an additional integration capabilities. I want to go over to revenue. So let's pull up revenue. I'll drill down. And I want to open this revenue up in Excel. So when I click open in Excel, what it's going to do is it's going to open up this data from that spreadsheet in Excel Online because I'm in Office 365. And then I have the capabilities here now that I can, edit the workbook online, or I can edit it if I had a local copy. In this case, on this RDP session on my VM, I don't have Excel even installed, so my only option here is to use Excel Online. But if I was over in my laptop, I could download this into Excel Online. This also takes this information. If I go back over here and let's return back to the Office 365 SharePoint site, you'll notice that all of the documents that I save get recorded into a temp folder. So as I open up this temp folder here, what you can see is just about a minute ago, these are the entries, and they got saved into the temporary folder. So I have a copy there of that data in that folder that I exported from NAV. And again, this is called online storage configuration, so you can configure it to actually send documents. Even when you're in your Windows client, you can send documents to online versions of Office, whether it be Word or Excel or PowerPoint. You can send documents to that as well. And then the other piece, before I jump out of there, I just about forgot, was the Power BI capabilities. And what I want to do here, I have Power BI over here. Well, I thought I did. Let's try that again. Let's go to Power BI here. So right from my role center, I'm selecting Power BI. And what I've done is I've taken some queries in Dynamics NAV, and I've exposed those queries to Power BI. And then I can actually analyze this data from that aspect. So this is a real simple example of a customer analysis in Power BI. Let me open this up. And this table is basically just off. All I exposed was the customer table with a few customer fields, things such as sales, profit, customer, salesperson are the kind of fields that I exposed. And this is a little sluggish here. And so here, what I can see is if I look, I've got sales by country and region code. I've got sales by salesperson and sales by customer posting groups. This is like a canvas, basically. And what you have the ability to do through the Power BI Designer or through using Excel and using Power View in Excel, you're able to create components on this canvas. I've created 3 components here. So if I click on here, for example, country by region, and I open up my filters and look at my chart here, in this case, I've really just got 2 fields, and I can filter on those. But if I click, for example, this is for the country of Denmark. When I click on Denmark, what you'll notice is it automatically updates my sales. So, for example, LN, Linda Martin, has $11 million sales in Denmark, and of that, $11 million of it is domestic, of the $33 million domestic. If I would select another box here, for example, the Great Britain box, I can see here that as I touch these boxes, Great Britain sales is 18 million, and these are the breakdown of my salespersons for these various values. Now, I want to do one more thing. Let's see, let's do www.powerbi.com. And I'm going to sign in here as Spencer L. So this is a site that's out there that's independent of the Office 365, where I've uploaded my customer analysis and my sales dashboards. So if I look at this sales dashboard, for example, as I pull this up, it's comparing data. And these examples here are off what's called the extended NAV database that have a couple million transactions in them. So that's how I've got a lot of data here. You'll notice, for example, my data goes back into, if I hover over this, it tells me the amount. So this is 2015, and it goes all the way up into, these are all 2016. And I've probably filtered additional information. If we opened up filters here, you can see that from these filters, you can select. So let's select this box, amount by full date. And then I can look at all of my filters on the page and on the chart. And in this case, I just had the item category and the quantity in this specific filter. I also have something called customer analysis here, and I don't want to save those changes. And again, I just upload these data sets, and it's real time. So from each of these, as you look here, as we select them, you can see, you can open and rename, but on the data sets down here, you can actually schedule a refresh or refresh now. So, you know, it has a timer. You can schedule refreshes, so off time hours, you can actually update this information. So here, I've got an example of 5 different charts that I'm showing. So I'm showing sales by city, sales by country and city, by customer group, sales by year. And any of these, if I select, for example, if I take Linda Martin here and select her, what you'll notice is all the other charts will update pertaining to that specific information. And again, this is all available by using the OData and SOAP services provided by Dynamics NAV. And I'll go in a lot more depth about this on the next webinar. So as you can see, it's very easy with Office 365 integration. You have ability to take Excel data, BI, and upload, and use Power BI in real time to analyze data in multiple areas. You can do things by quantity, by sales amount, by profit, and tie that all together for doing analysis. Now the next area here is in document reporting. And this is where you now have the ability to update your customer-facing documents, sales order acknowledgments, sales invoices, what I will demonstrate. And you can update these in Word. You actually have 3 ways, excuse me, to produce documents. You can use the Object Designer and the reporting tool in Object Designer, Visual Studio, to create layouts. You can use Report Builder now to actually generate layouts, which is a component of SQL reporting services, as well as you can use the Word layout. And the other thing is this is tenant specific. And what that means is in NAV 2013 R2, we introduced the ability to have multi-tenant capability. And what that means is, for example, if you have a database, let's say that's got 3 companies in that database. And so when you go into SQL today, you see all the company data, and the application logic is all in one database in SQL. What multi-tenancy does is it takes the application database, the actual code, puts it in the database by itself, then it creates 3 separate SQL databases for each of those companies. So we're separating the data into a separate database, not within the same. So the point I want to make here is that with the Word layout, you have the ability by tenant to specify different format layouts, and also by company, which would be by tenant, the specific layouts. So let's go take a look at this real quickly. Let's go over here, and let's jump into the NAV client. And I'm just going to use the simplified UX here. I'm going to type in, there's a couple of new sessions. There's report layout and custom report layouts. I'm going to start with report layout selection, and from that I can choose custom report layouts. So when I select this, this is how you can designate specific types of documents by company. So I'm in Cronus USA. I'm going to find the sales invoice, which happens to be 1306, and bring that up. And what I can see here is, in this layout, I have the option to use the RDCL, which is the standard document that we do with the Object Designer in Visual Studio. I can use a Word built-in layout, or I can use a custom layout. In this case, I chose custom, and I chose the Word online template is what I'm using that I've created. So what I've done is right from that now I've jumped into the custom report layouts. So I can create multiple custom report layouts for this specific company, and then the default one I put back here, the one I want to specifically run. So let's take a look at one of these layouts in Word. I'm going to edit the layout. Oh, I can't do that from here. I have to do it. I don't have Word on here. So let's go do it over here. Report layout, and hopefully we're not going to get slowed up too bad. And we'll do 1306 again here. And once we get 1306, wow, it's a whole lot slower outside of the VM. Oh, it's report name. That's what threw me. I need a report ID. You guys probably all saw that, didn't you? Now let's go to the custom layouts, and then I'm going to edit the actual layout. So this will open up Word for me, basically you need Word 2013. I'll also mention that Jet Reports also has a tool to be able to modify documents as well. In addition, what I'm using here is just the standard Word 2013, and I had to add the developer add-in. And the reason you need the developer add-in, or you need the Jet Reports document management tool, is for the XML mapping. This is how you specify, for example, I choose, this is the metadata layer, and this is the header information of the sales invoice. And then notice I've got my lines, that amount, my report total lines. And all you basically do is put your cursor on a specific field and select over here and right-click and say Insert Context Rich Text, and that will put that field right here in that specific location of the document. I'm going to take that out right now. Probably doesn't make a lot of sense to put it there, but I want to show you how that can be done. So let's take that out. Now, I have this Word document open. We'll just make some simple changes to it. I've got a message here at the bottom I put in, thank you Inter9BM customers for your business. Let's just change this over to a different color. So if I go to home here, and we'll change this to say blue, and then I want to change my actual line information. I want that to pop out at me, so I'm going to give it a back color of yellow. So again, you can make your changes, you can add your fields. I've set up a picture here as far as a document. Once you save the Word document, it asks if you want to save this report layout, and I do. I'm going to save it, and now I can actually run the report. And I don't care about doing that, and I want to select a specific document here. Let's just take the last one, take this one, 1003. And I think I need to try that again. I don't think I hit the OK button. Let's preview it. Now it's going to pop up in Word Online, and you can see here I made my changes. So very easy. I changed those boxes to a yellow, and I changed the green to a blue Interdyne BMI. And you saw how easy it was to actually add fields to these documents.
So Tom, we're at the turn of the hour. I know you have a couple more items, so wanted to just give everybody a heads up. I think we've probably got about 10 more minutes to go, including some Q&A time. But if you do need to leave early, quite understandable. We want to be respectful of your time. We are recording this session, and it will be placed online on letstalknav.com. So please continue on, Tom, and I think in about 10 minutes we can start wrapping up.
Okay, sure. Thank you very much. Okay, so as you can see, it's very easy. It's an end user function now to actually customize document reports. The layout's free flowing, and it's what you see is what you get. Now, there are a few limitations. I mean, there's no conditional type of formatting. There's no number formatting you can do. And it's not, suitable for complex precision layouts. But for single documents, customer-facing, it's very easy to use. And, we're not doing away with a report definition language client-side. That's what we refer to as RDLC. That's still the main reporting story in Dynamics NAV. And we'll still use Visual Studio. We'll use NAV Object Designer to build the data set and use Visual Studio to lay out the majority of reports. But as I mentioned, you have the option to switch back and forth. You can use RDLC as well as you can use the word reporting and switch it back and forth per company. So the last section here is around cache management and Microsoft social listening. On the cache management side, the first swim lane here, electronic payment creation. This happens in the payment journals. I won't demonstrate, and I've got a slide in a moment. I'll show you where there are videos that you can watch about electronic payment creation, about electronic bank registration, and about bank reconciliation. And I'll point to those in just a minute. The payment creation, the first one, what that is in the payment journals, you now have the ability to export your payments out to your bank and track what's been exported. And if it's been exported and something's wrong, you can credit it back and re-export. And you have full traceability of what you transmit to your bank electronically. And there is then the transmit function as well as that. And it gives you, in batches, as you're running your payment journal by your different banks, it gives you ability to select them and then export them, transmit them, and then you're good to go. And then see all history of what's provided there. The electronic payment registration, that's for your cash receipts, for cash coming in that you receive from your lockbox, for example. And we have introduced, and back in 2013 R2, automatic application, which means you can set up some parameters where when the bank file is imported in, it will go through matching scenarios based upon tolerances you set that will attempt to match your actual payment to your invoice. And then you can review that information, and it gives you a status of how well it matched it. The ones that aren't matched very well, that are low matching, you can then go in, open them up, and take a look and figure out how it needs to be matched. The bank reconciliation, that's the side-by-side bank rec. Now, that was introduced in 2013 R2, but it didn't make it in the North American release, which most of us are North American localization, which the US, Canada, and Mexico uses. And now that's included in 2015. The other thing, the general electronic banking, the data exchange, that's the simple European payment authorization formats. That was introduced in 2013. But we've also added a bank data conversion service. And this is an Azure service provided by AMC Banking that integrates with the payments journal as well as the cash receipts journals. And actually AMC Banking will provide up to one bank account for you to integrate with at no cost. And so if you're interested in this, again, there's a video that gives more information about all of these bank all these cash enhancements that we've introduced in NAV 2015. So as far as Microsoft Social Listening, this was not immediately available back in October. This came out in NAV 2015 Cumulative Update number 3 going forward. And this is a link, this is a hyperlink at the top. You can click, it'll give you a video that describes, and basically what it does, it looks at your customers, your vendors, and your items, and it looks across social media looking for information about your products, customers, and vendors, and will give you feedback of what social media feels about your products and vendors. So I highly encourage you to watch this. It's about a 10-minute video of actually what it can provide and then actually how it can be set up. Now, this does require a Microsoft Social Listings license to be able to implement this. So that wraps up, our NAV 2015 What's New, quick to implement, easy to use, and power to support. As far as support tools and things you can go back to, Microsoft Development Network has all of the user documentation and IT professional documentation all the way back to version 2009. So if you don't use MSDN, I highly recommend you go out there. There's lots of really good information. What I've covered and what's new, both from a technical and an application side, there's a section in NAV 2015 on that. And this is the hyperlink to this specific page. And I provided a PDF file to AJ, and hopefully you can send it out, AJ, to these folks or put it onto your blog so they can access it and get to these links.
Absolutely.
What I have here is the support videos. And there are literally hundreds of videos out there. How do I videos? Technical as well as application functionality. I want to click on this real fast. I just want to show you the Microsoft Development Network. So I'm jumping into it. I'm going to go to videos here into 2015. And as you can see, we've also got the 2013 R2s. Hopefully this will spin up in just a second. And as I scroll down at the bottom, you can see they're arranged. There's demos from the NAV team. These guys right here at the bottom that I'm highlighting in blue, these are the ones around the cash management functionality. It's this one is about 12 minutes. This one's about 15 minutes. And the bank conversion one I haven't watched. But again, in about half an hour, you can get a real good feel in more detail about what was introduced as far as application functionality and cash management. Plus a whole lot of other content here, as you can see, that I think you'll find extremely interesting. So again, just some additional resources. These are the links to what's new in the application changes, the developer changes, the videos, and then also, if you go to Customer Source and download this product download, that will be the original release of the RTM version. It won't be Cumulative Update. So I suggest you go to Cumulative Updates to get the latest version. Also, just for your information, the environment I demoed off today is off of the Azure Gallery. And this is a hyperlink. You can deploy your own NAV 2015 demo on Windows Azure. There's a 15-minute video you can watch here. You can actually get a free trial for Azure for 30 days with a couple $100 of credit, which if you use an A2 size Azure machine, that's more than adequate for a whole month to be able to have a sandbox to look at the NAV 2015 environment. So again, just some additional resources. These are customer e-learnings that you can get access to, as well as also there are a lot of e-learnings for 2009, 2013, R2, as well as 2013. The numbers behind those are the number of videos that are available or trainings that are available for the product. And to be honest, I've been in the ERP pre-sales and technical role for 20 years, and these videos are phenomenal. I've never seen anything as good as the quality of what they're providing. So with that, I'd like to wrap up, open up for questions, and I thank you for your business.
Thank you very much, Tom. The handout that Tom Taylor was talking about, you can download it from the handouts section of the GoToWebinar bar. If you're unable to download it for some reason, please feel free to email me and I'll be happy to make them available to you. My email address is aj.ansari@interdynebmi.com. If that was hard to remember, you can also email info@interdynebmi.com. We'll also make it available on our letstalknav.com blog post, where we're going to post the video. If you have any questions for Tom at this time, you can raise your hand from the GoToWebinar bar. You'll find a little icon with a hand, and that will allow you to kind of make yourself known and that you have a question, or you can type your question into the chat window. As you're doing that, Tom also mentioned a couple of times mentioned something about a Power BI webinar. We were actually doing that Power BI webinar for the Houston NAV user group chapter, which I'm also a part of. But I think in hindsight, this would make for an excellent presentation for all of you, our Interdyne BMI clients as well. So we will work with Tom to make sure that that session is scheduled.
Sorry for the confusion, AJ.
No, that's quite all right. We always love content ideas. So I'm going to bring up the final slide, which will have Tom Taylor's email address and our email address. And as we're doing that, again, we'll wait for about another minute. If you have any questions, we'd like to take that. All right, it looks like there are no questions, Tom, but we do thank you for your time. It was an excellent presentation. And I think Tom has mentioned a few excellent learning resources that are available to you from Customer Source and from MSDN. If you have any questions in accessing those or those links don't immediately get you the information you're looking for, don't hesitate to reach out to us, and we'd be happy to walk you through how you can either set up a demonstration Azure environment or get access to the Microsoft IT Academy e-learning videos for your version of NAV or for your upgrade to NAV 2015. Once again, thank you very much for your time today, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you again on another Let's Talk NAV webinar. Have a wonderful day.